So now we want to spend a few minutes, the next 20 minutes or so, to basically help ourselves to understand a few things. From KCDF and from WildKids, we want to appreciate your lessons and successes and possibly difficulties with this subject of local fundraising, okay? And not from the Netherlands, from Kenya. Or if you work in Kenya and other countries which are similar, you can share and say, these are my challenges in India. Because we know you have perfected your local fundraising in the Netherlands, isn't it? You do that very well. But we don't know very much how well you do in Kenya. Some of you fund 100%, some of you fund different percentages. And you have to keep working on that. So we want to be able to appreciate that. And then the second thing we also want to check with you is, now that KCDF is here, and now that WildKids is here, and now that we are already thinking about how can we strengthen your local partners, what are those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 priority areas of your concern with local fundraising in Kenya, where you would like us to play a role or add value? Okay? And then finally, because you have a lot of projects in Kenya, and maybe the type of organizations you work with are also different, we hope that we will end it by coming up with a list of those who are really keen, the risk takers, the entrepreneurs, to be in the first lot of the Dutch private initiatives whose local initiatives in Kenya can pioneer this collaboration and the support on capacity development. And maybe after a few months, 6 months, 1 year, we come together again and ask ourselves, did it work in any way? Or some way, did things get better? Did we raise more money, okay? So those are the 3 different things we want to talk about today. And hopefully we learn something from it, which we can take away with us, okay?
The work to do.
Yeah, so as I said, one of the things I'm really interested in is I'm going to take just 2 minutes or 3 to just tell you how it all works. It has all worked for KCDF. When we started off in 1997, we only had one funding partner. And the funding partner was the Aga Khan Foundation. The Aga Khan Foundation has its headquarters in Switzerland, but they are very philanthropic and they are also big business people. So they have businesses all over the world. And so at the time when we were started, they gave us 2 things. They gave us a little building in a corner, in a place called Pangani, for those who are familiar with Kenya. And they employed for us the first employee. So that's all we got. You can sit here, and here's 1 employee, and here's some little money. And then they helped us constitute a local board, which was all Kenyans. And the first thing they asked themselves is, okay, so you have a baby, you have been given a place to sleep, and you have been given 1 bottle of milk. So what are you going to suckle the baby tomorrow? And so the board had to really think very hard, and they thought about what different ways can we fund KCDF. So they looked for private sector involvement, they persuaded government, they even asked individuals to do something about it. I am 5 years old in KCDF, and from the first salary I earned 5 years ago, I made a contribution to KCDF, and I still do it until today. And all the staff members of KCDF do the same. Every month, they give 10 euros, 20 euros, 30 euros faithfully to KCDF. And so we have hundreds of Kenyans who do that to us every year. Okay, so what am I saying? Individuals contribute to our work. Private sector companies contribute to our work. We started off with one in 2006, which was Safaricom Foundation, the big telecommunication company. Now we have 29. You name that company in Kenya and they're working with us, including the Royal Dutch Airlines, KLM. We get mentors who mentor our young people from KLM. Okay? So I'm talking about another form of financing, okay, from private sector. From government, we have created good relationships. When we go to a community and we have a project, we ask, okay, so what do you have? Do you have something? And we cost share. So we support a school, they contribute a teacher. Maybe they don't give us the money, but they give the school a teacher. If we support a health center or clinic, they provide a nurse. And that is their contribution. So now I'm talking about non-cash contribution. Okay? And other development organizations like WildGeese, SNV Netherlands, USAID, and others are also contributing to our work. So what have we done is that we have created a diversified source of support for our work. And most importantly, and I said it earlier, is the endowment. We started an endowment. It is invested. It's almost like a pension fund. You contribute little amounts every day, it is invested, it grows, and then at some time it starts to pay back. And when it pays back, we use that money to support development work. Okay? So that is the story of KCDF in fundraising. But what do the communities do? Harambee, volunteerism, enterprises which bring income. Okay? Working with, partnering with government. So all those are different opportunities that have come. In recent days, people are now raising money through internet, through Facebook mobilization, through mobile phone. In Kenya now we have lottery. We never used to have it, but people have lottery. And then the opportunities for raising money is growing. What does it depend on? It depends on how persuasive your initiative is, isn't it? It must speak to everybody. It must show that it will realize impact. So that's how we do it. So my first question to you, I'm going back here, is how have you done it in Kenya? If you haven't done it, you also say, how I have done it is I have done nothing. That's also a good answer. Because I want to know how many of us who are here have not attempted to do any local fundraising in Kenya, whether through yourselves or through the Kenyan organizations you work with. There's some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This one doesn't work.
It works.
Oh, it does now. Okay.
Sorry, I thought you asked us something, so I have no question but an answer. You said who has experience in support and raising, fundraising?
The question I asked is, I have told you how the different ways in which we have attempted to raise money in Kenya. And the question I asked is, how have you done it in Kenya?
Yes, that's right.
If you did.
Well, what we did for the hospital when we had no support from the government for a while, people went around in the district and raised food for the patients, inpatients, for the construction which was going on, sand and wood to continue the construction. We were surprised that there was a lot of support.
Excellent. So They managed to feed the patients and they found building materials.
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear who found money. You found some money?
Yeah, I found money.
Okay.
I told you earlier about electricity that
Yeah.
was given by the government. But you said Rotary Club. Rotary Club is quite active in Kenya, so it is really advisable for people to go to the Rotary clubs. Also there is Women's League, and also companies you can invite to come, like he's saying volunteering, but they can bring in the experience that they're having with their company to whatever you're doing, whatever your project is. And my experience is that people are really willing. If you invite them, they can come. Kenyan, yeah.
Excellent. So it basically means that even our own local businesses in Kenya want to do something. Okay? Anybody who has done it in a different way?
My name is Peter Rosemond. I'm not from in the Kenya project, but coordinator of the Platform Zimbabwe. And we have a platform day every year. And from that day, which we had in January, I can report that many organizations active from the Netherlands in Zimbabwe do somehow fundraising in kind. However, that's one specific example of an organization who is asking a school to set up a fund for the maintenance of the building. And so that's a special example where actually money is brought in by members of the community to support the maintenance of the buildings.
Okay. So good example, very good example. My next question is very simple. How many of us from the project you are either working on now or the one you just completed raise more than 0% of their budget from Kenya?
More than 0%.
More than 0. Okay. Yes. Either 0.1% or 1%. At least you raise something from Kenya. How many of us? Some of us are not sure. They are like this. Yeah. Okay. So several of us. You mean several of us were able to raise some money? How many of us raise 10% or more from Kenya? 10% or more. If your project was, say, 3,000 euro, you raise at least 300 euros from Kenya. Also a good number. How many of us raised 25% or more? None. Oh, there's one at the back. Okay. Yes, yes. Let's hear about this one which raised so much money.
Yeah, it's. My name is Margot Kloet. I work with Wereldkinderen, and we support a local partner, and they support local communities, and so the community groups, to be specific. Okay. And then the group first is saving money, and then after they have saved, let's say, 4,000 shillings, then they receive another amount of 4,000 shillings.
Yes.
And then, for example, they initiate a catering service to help when there are celebrations, funerals, those kind of events. And the people who organize the celebration or funeral, they pay. And so the catering service becomes an investment. Okay. And so then the group is functioning on its own.
Okay. So one question before you sit. How much relief do you feel when the local people are able to raise money and you don't have to work extra hard in the Netherlands? How does it feel for you?
Well, it's our objective not to generate money here, but it's true, we still generate money here. So it feels better if it's done there completely, but you still like to have a link. Because there is a social aspect to this investment that I did not tell you yet about. These groups are mainly formed by women who are mothers, and then they take the care of children who don't have mothers or fathers or parents or grandmothers or aunts anymore, and who are taken on their charge.
Okay, thank you.
In the group.
Okay, so you can hear for yourself. When I said anybody who has raised more than 0%, we had half the room with their hands up. When I said 10%, we had a third of the room with their hands up. When I asked 25%, which is only 1/4, we only had one hand up. What does that say? It says, it gives us a very important message, that the Kenyan communities that you are working with are not on the driver's seat of the initiatives you support.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
That is fine. Because we can never all of us agree. Okay? But this is where I come from. Where I come from, and my organization, we believe in one thing. If you want to help me, I have to try and do a little more than sit back and say, I am poor, I can't do anything. That is the message. Yeah, it's not about whether they are not the one driving the car and you're a passenger or not. It just means if they were actually the ones driving the car, they will make sure if there's a puncture, they will come out and be concerned about fixing it, isn't it? And that is the essence of sustainability, where the people themselves own the challenge and they say, we are going to take ourselves to the destination where the challenges are fewer. And along the way, we will pick a few friends to help us ease the burden of that load so that we get to our destination of improved situation, okay? So I think the point we are trying to make is the Kenyan communities that you're working with have a willingness and only need to be helped to understand and organize themselves in some way to meet you somewhere in the middle or along the way. So that instead of you doing 100%, they can do 20 or 30 or 40 or even 50%, isn't it? The projects I was showing you here, the communities have done 50% and come to KCDF and we have contributed 50%. And they have delivered classrooms and several other things.
Can we make an appointment for September?
Why not? Okay. Why not? So the next important question is, and Helene will help with this, is we, KCDF and WAGIS, would like to understand what are those hurdles that stand between you and increasing your local fundraising in Kenya. What are they? So you will put one in one card, you'll put one in an orange card or a yellow card,
Yeah,
she will give you,
Post-its.
or
Then
post-its.
we can collect them.
And on another one, you will say, what do you propose that we might consider to support you to address it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay?
Yeah.
One hurdle or two, and on the other side, what is it that we can do through this partnership on capacity development that can help you address it? We have 3 minutes.
Ja, dat mag nu helemaal.
Ja.
Nou, enerzijds.
Dus als je weer een beetje met elkaar, ik wil wel wat post-its brengen.
Waar is dat dan?
Yes.
Wat is bij ons?
Yes, I like to say this because I was reacting because we are working in a very poor country
Yes.
and they are not having money to spend, but they give their strength, manpower, and they make bricks, and they give the power of their body to make bricks to build that schools. And then they are not talking about money, but they are talking about their strengths and what they can do, and with a big smile, and that's what we like.
Excellent. Do you know what is the government of Kenya recommended wage per day?
Sorry?
Do you know the government of Kenya recommended wage or salary per day?
The professionals from our...
No. Wage is for skills. Salary is for professionals.
But we also have professionals because the people are building in guiding by professionals.
Okay, so this is what you need to understand. Maybe you don't have the information. The minimum wage for somebody who does things with their hands is 6,880 per month. If you divide that by 24 working days, not 30 days, because you have excluded the weekends, it comes to 330 shillings per day. So you can actually say, if the community gave me 50 hours of their time in 1 month, and there were 20 or 30 of them, you can determine the cost of their time and their effort. So they're not giving you nothing.
They gave us a lot.
They actually give you a lot. But they need that feedback to understand that you gave 5,000 euros worth of your time to this project.
Yes, but we also have to put it, when we do the project of Wild Goose, we have to write down what is the contribution of the community. And that is what we count.
Excellent.
Yeah,
But an important question which you take home, no answer, no response from you, is if they only gave you 5,000 euros of their time, and they have stones and all that, will that build a classroom? If you had no money to pay a fundi or somebody, will it build a classroom? That's an important question for all of us to take home. If you only get non-cash contribution, does it build a classroom? Does it keep a teacher in the classroom? And that is where you go to the question about whether they can give you at least 2 shillings or 3 shillings to support the teacher. Okay. While you're thinking and trying to write something down, the next question I would also like you to say something about is, look through that organization, whether it is a church or a local NGO or a youth group or a women's group, and tell us what are the issues that you have struggled with on how that organization does its business. Maybe the board doesn't work very well. Maybe they don't communicate very well. Maybe they don't send you good reports. Maybe their communication is weak. Maybe they don't account for money very well. Yeah. You can also add that, and then we can think about together how we address those challenges as well.
Hi, my name is Rihanna. I work with the Kisi Foundation. Actually, just in reference to that point, we are now starting a little pilot program that does exactly that. So we train Kenyans to become CSR coaches for companies.
Good point.
We're working on it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, so far ours is going fairly well, and we're trying to actually make it a profitable organization itself. So
okay.
I think it's possible.
Other points that we would like to collect. Things that could be done, or issues, or maybe some obstacles that you are confronted with.
Well, we have just started to think of an initiative to start a local support organization around the hospital in the district. An obstacle we think of, and I think it's not bad to think of obstacles, as you pointed out, is that people who start earning a little, and that's the coming the case, they have the obligations to their extended family. And they want their support because the whole family has supported this person to have education, and now they expect the support from this person, and that's quite their culture, you know better than I. So, I'm afraid that they say, well, I have my own obligations.
Yeah, point taken. The idea of the family function.
Extended family is that. There's 100 people sometimes.
Family is social security, right? That's the point. Another one.
One of the things you could help, I think, a lot of organizations with, what we see is that many of the local boards of the NGOs or CBOs are not very, they have a lack of leadership. So leadership courses would be very helpful. And then there's another thing. What we see, we are also involved in a school for handicapped children in Mombasa. And what we see that the management gets a lot of offers for some help from local companies. But they just come in, for instance, I just have an example. They get the National Bank will come and say, oh, we want to organize a party for the children. And then the management does not have the courage, because they have lack of leadership, I think, that they say to that manager, say, come and sit down. This is what is, you are very welcome to come here and to help us. But this is our list of priorities. So they will just accept everything that will not really help them on the long term.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I can take one more. So points of leadership, and then I will let Tom give you feedback.
Hello, Michael Jacobs from Unugu Vrienden Nederland. We are working with Unugu Society of Kenya, and until a few years ago there was a fair trade unit. Part of the activities is for youth and education, and so they are making things. There was a shop selling these things, and they were making some money out of it. But what went wrong exactly, I do not know. But for several years in a row, there were only losses. And 1 year, 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, it's decided to divest it and to make it an independent shop, but apart from the organization. So profit making was the problem here.
Okay, so you have written all the other feedback that we cannot take on the post-its. We will collect it. Maybe some can you collect them, Esther and other Esther? That would be great. You could also write your the name of your organization. That would be really helpful for Tom, even if you have a website or whatever. Okay, I'm going to give Tom a few minutes to give some feedback on the things you've said, and then I will go and introduce a program that Gees is initiating in collaboration with KCDF. And I think it will interest you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll only take 2 minutes because we only have about 6 left. And this is what I think, and I hope it is correct. What I think, I will go back to something I said earlier. If you have a child, whether the child is, you are only a foster parent or a biological parent, or you are only a good neighbor, who does not get a good foundation, you can doubt whether they will be successful when they become adults. Okay? Many of the organizations you are working with, some of them have not even been born. Because you support a school and you support using the Parent-Teacher Association, but there's no local organizations that brings the communities together in the form of an association to own the school. The school is organized, but the communities are not organized around that challenge. Okay? Some of you are working through a women group or a youth group or a community group. that is still in elementary school, but needs to finish, go to grade 8, go to high school, and go to college. I'm not saying university because college is fine. And it is only through those steps that they build knowledge and skills they need to get things done properly. Okay? So my message is very simple. You can invest all you want in the classroom, in the health center, in that borehole. But if you don't invest in the people who need that borehole or that classroom, the borehole will collapse. The next time you go, you'll crack your head. You have flown from here. You take a 4-wheel drive vehicle, and then you get there and you find, when was the last time you got water here? 3 months ago. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, we thought you'll be hungry with us. But
why,
if
why don't you mention students?
everybody is involved, even children, students.
No, you say the primary school, secondary school, and I don't even mention students. Sorry, university.
No.
The reason why I don't want to mention university is because that is an elitist level. I'm not talking about real children in school. I'm talking about the different stages of learning, where you become an expert consultant like Helen here, or Robert there, or Class. I mean, very intelligent, completely experienced people. The communities don't have to get there. But like a child, they have to learn in different stages and learn more difficult and more difficult and more difficult, and get to a point where they can move the things on their own. That's what I meant. And you don't need to get to the university to be intelligent enough to know, okay, this is our borehole, we have to service it once every 3 months and make sure all the parts are working properly, isn't it? And mobilize everybody to give you 2 shillings, 10 shillings, so that you have money to do what? To repair and replace a part when it breaks down. But that does not happen when there is no organization. So our call to you is, if we want to make local fundraising successful, we have to get on the bus. And that bus must be owned by the community. And one member of the community must either be a co-driver or on the driver's seat. So that when you walk out of the bus and say, Kwaheri, the bus continues to move, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, don't try to drive the bus, repair the bus, fuel the bus, and do everything that a bus can do, because when you leave it, nobody will have a driving license, nobody understands where their steering is, and yet these are the people who need to benefit from the use of the bus. Is the message home? Hopefully. Thank you very much.